Hi everyone, today we'll look at how to use JSON data. JSON data that can be transmitted from a remote cloud. So we will discuss what statements can bring data from cloud and type of data. Usually that is in JSON format. And then data that can be generated from a cloud server is a query processing. So there is a database sitting behind the web server, and when we request JSON data from the cloud server, we'll call PHP program. Some PHP program expects some values as an arguments. Then we need to assign the value correspondingly. There is some noise outside. So, all right. The example that we are working on is still access control. Okay, and there will be another the app implementation. Then we will use the similar language Swift to download. Remember that sensor data, and we're going to display the sensor data on our app. That will come later. But today, little simple ones, access controls. Okay. I believe you guys already know this. I want to recall the app that we developed was the access control using hard-coded credentials. And then in the past two modules, we look at the internal core data. So credential can be stored on the internal SQLites. So how we can use core data to do some. We can store the data, we can access the data, we can retrieve the data to do some additional implementation. So already done. Today we'll look at the remote database. Okay. Then HTTP request is needed. It's very the pictorial explanation of that is from your iPhone on your Swift UI code somewhere. As you can expect, the need is some URL expression. So address needed. That address access the middleware through the web server. And then this middleware, which is a PHP, can access back-end database. So for our simple app implementation, we assume a database populates with the username and password. And then there is a middleware, which is PHP. And I already make this available, so you do not need to worry about. By the way, we have another course. Then there we looked at this, okay, but not in this class. So we focus here Swift app. Okay. If you guys need to take that course, that is a CISC 545. This is computer science master's level course. So cybersecurity graduate students and also computer science graduate students are encouraged to take this CIS 545. The course title is, I believe that is a distributed application developments. Okay. So in this module, we'll look at Swift app only. For you to understand the global picture, I am telling you that we create a table where there is a username and password, so that we can say create database user DB, and we use user DB, and then create table credential username and password. Then this table creation is successfully done, and then we insert. For example, test user password is password 1, 2, 3. You can do this for additional the database records. Okay. And then you can do the middleware, PHP. So usually this PHP needs to access the database, MySQL. Then let's assume that is a user DB and username is root and password that should be given in your code. And then you need to connect to the database. From when you when this PHP receives the request, then it receives username and password. And this username, which is $user in this local variable, and password that is $pass, that is used for this query expression. So select the star from credential where username equals whatever input parameter, password that is input parameter, and then we bind the parameters in string, 2 strings. So $user and $pass. That is this. Okay. Also here. And we execute the statements and get the result. And then we convert that to JSON. Okay, so we echo that JSON. This JSON returns in this format. This is like a dictionary. Keyword, key is a success, value is true. And key message, the value is login successful. If it is not verified, if user credential is not verified, then success, the key success has the value fail and false, and the message, the key, the value to that key is invalid username or password. So this message will be displayed at the client side. Okay, so hold on. So actually, in the server, our Google Cloud server has for this particular the access control applications using the remote JSON data. I developed two middleware, request CRAD and then request all. Okay, two of those. This is for test. You don't have to worry about this. Okay, request all and request CRAD. How we can try to test this. If it is simple, the other way that we could do like a post, then we can add this username and password along with the HTTP address, URL address. Okay, but for the purpose of not always, but in this case, for example, then it's not going to work. Not from your web browser. Okay. So let's see. Right. If you do that on your web browser, let me show to you here. This is a request CRAD. Same as this. But when up to this is URL, right? And after that, username is Jayun, password Jayun, but it returns this JSON data. Remember the keyword key success value for the success key is false. Value for the message, there's invalid user name or password, but actually this is valid. The reason for that is this type of the URL is not received by this particular PHP, this PHP. Then you need to do JSON needs to be decoded, and then that is through this function. Okay. And then it returns, as we could see, success. If it is verified, then success colon true, message colon login successful. Otherwise, the success false, message colon invalid user name or password that we looked at here. So what we need to do to that test, let me first do that test. Remember, this is request all. So I already had that. This is curl. This is the Linux command, -x post. I want to post this. And this is a URL, 35.203.116.99/smart25/requestall.php. So if I do that, then it returns everything all in the database credential. Okay, success true data. What it does is, if you look at the data, then Username is test user, password is password 123. Another username is Jayun, then password is Jayun. Jayun and Jayun. And password Adam, then password 123. So Adam, password for Adam is password 123. Password to test user is password 123. It's the same thing. And then password to DBA is password DBA. This kind of things. Okay. But if we want to test this request cred, I want to see if any specific data that is needed, like this. I want to include the data. That data has a pair of username and password. I put their username within this quote. Remember, see here, quote and curly brace. I want to look at this curly brace, open and close curly brace. And then pass the key username, password Jayun, key password, and the value for password is Jayun. This backslash quote means this is nothing but a quote. For user understanding, this is a quote. But the computer, this is open quote, this is close quote. If I do not have this quote, then this guy think this is open and close. Immediately close. What's inside is only curly brace. It doesn't make sense. So it gives me an error, right? Therefore, we put backslash. Backslash means that's an escape character. What does that mean is when this C URL program curses, when it comes to here quote, then this guy expects, oh, there will be close quote. And then curly brace. And then there is a quote, but before we meet the quote, there is a backslash, which means backslash quote. If there is a backslash, because it is escape, I do not see that is another quote that could match the open quote. But instead, this is a literally quote. So quote username, another backslash quote, then that is quote. So quote unquote username, colon, same thing, quote unquote Jayun, colon, Jayun, comma, and then quote unquote password, colon, quote unquote Jayun. This is a real value. And then there, after that, there is a close curly brace. So that well matched with the open curly brace. Remember that we open curly brace here, right? After this open curly brace, we have quote. Then finally, this quote is matched with that quote. Any other quote inside that comes with the backslash quote. Therefore, that is not something, the quote that could understand by this operating system, or simply the program C URL, but that is literally quoted unquote. So we sent data. That's what this guy is expected, right? It expects JSON data. So we sent JSON data and hit enter. Then it gives me success true and message login successful. What does that mean here? Because this is well matched, we asked the result. We sent this and the result of that SQL statements. Because the username, that is the keyword, I mean the primary key. for that JUN, there should be only one record for JUN primary key. And if it returns how many rows matched, of course it matched, then there will be one record returned. I would say how many? Then it's more than 0. 1 is more than 0. Anyway, there is something matched. Therefore, that is true. Something matched the username with the keyword. Therefore, we say, oh, this is well verified successfully. Okay, that's what it is here. Okay, that is extra. That's what we did. And then with that in mind, then we need to do Swift UI codings. I want you to look at this MVC paradigm. Okay, M, that is a model, V, that is a view models, and C, that is a control. So view control, that is the control. You can say control, or you can say view control like this. The model is nothing but the data structure, data type. And then the view model is how we can view these models. So you can mingle all of this in one file, but ideally the smartphone applications, programs needs to follow MVC paradigm. M for model, so we need to define model as a separate file, and then view model, there is another file, and then view control, there is another file. Okay, so with this data, how we can make a view, that is a view model. With this the data and view model, how we can control it, that is this. So we have a user file here, and then view model here, and then we have two controls. Okay, login view and home view. Let me explain that a little bit. See how it works. So actually it's like this, right? Well, I'm going to go further. Okay. And that user has a class user and two variables, username and password. And then in this model, it should be always identifiable and decodable. With this, if you don't, but by default, it could have an ID separate the attributes, variable, or constant here. But if you want to use one of these as a, rather than using a separate key attribute, if you want to use one of the meaningful attribute as a key, then you can say variable ID, which is nothing but username. As I comment here, if you want to use a username as a unique identifier, then you can use this. So this ID is not really created, but internally, ID is nothing but username. That's what it is. And then view models. We need to access specify the full address all the way up to request_all.php and request_cred.php. Real address that we remember that we looked at in the test. So I want you to go back to look at that. Okay, that needs to be fed into this. And we have a function login. We define the URL. URL is nothing but login URL, which is this, right? Login URL. This is for login. Remember that here we have this guy has a fetch all user. This could be changed to login. There is a off and on and off, switch back and forth. So let's look at login first, and then we assume initial value. Initially, that is status message color is red, and then we payload is username is username, password is password. Now we need to receive the username and password from the real URL here, right? Well, we need to send. Let me bring that up here first. In the login view, there's a text field username. That's just like this username, and then secure field. There's a password here, and there's a function. And a button. This button initially, this button sometimes it shows a fetch all user, or some other times it can show a login. Depending upon, this is question mark, depending upon this condition. Okay, rather than say text fetch all user, text login, but this is very intelligent codings. So text, depending upon the result of these conditions, we can display fetch all user or otherwise login. In what way? View model is nothing but this view model. That's what we looked at in the previous. Here, this view model has username and password, initially empty, right? Nothing there. And then this username and password is nothing but in this data structure, identifiable by username and password. If in that model, view model, username is empty, initially empty, right? Initially, this is initialization, empty and empty, right? This is empty. But if user enter here, then this the variable to that text field, we receive this user entered text as the value to this variable. The variable is this view model dot username. If we enter something that this view model dot username that has some value, so therefore that is not empty. If this is false, if any one of these false, then entire is false. If this is false, then not the very first one, but second one after this colon. If this is false, then second one. If this is true, then first one. What that means is initially both are empty. Username and password both are empty like this. Therefore, this is a fetch all user. But if I enter here, watch this, and then if I say Jyun, then immediately it returns login, right? And enter JYOON. then it return whatever that is. But if I didn't put the proper password and click login, then of course invalid username and password. Invalid username and password, right? When I click this, then it goes here. Oh yeah, here. Again here, action for that button. If both are empty, then we go to fetch all credential. Otherwise, login function. So this view model, this previous SQL, previous Swift file, it should have the function. The one function is a fetch all credential. Another function is simply login function. Remember that. Go back here. Then here first the login function. That all the way come here. And then there's a fetch all function. Okay, two functions there. And then there is another function here, post request. That is the function within this, we use a post request function. Same thing here, we have a here login function, we have a post request function. Okay, we'll look at that post request function. This post request function, we go to post request function first. What it does is that we have here complete handlings. We form a request URL and post, and if there is a payload, if it is not empty, then we build up JSON payload. Remember that payload here is nothing but if we enter username and password, then this is a password. That is exactly that when I request, then we need to put the payload. This is a payload, username and password within that JSON formats. Okay, so this is a JSON format, string. This is key, colon, value. In that format, username, key, whatever user entered the value, that is a username, value. And for the password, that is password, like this. This is a value for that username. This is a value for that password. So that payload fit in here if it is not empty. So we request HTTP body. So body is set. So this request is completely, if it is set, then we call URL session dot shared dot test data task. This access the URL with the request. Okay, this request has a URL address, and if that URL address needs payload in JSON format, this is the option, JSON formats. So everything with that, it goes to the remote web server. Okay, so in the remote web server, there is a PHP program and also back-end database. Once we requested that data, we do not know when that data comes back, and therefore we can continue to work. We do not know that, right? So what it does here, completion handling and escaping. This is escaping is very similar to the, remember that in C URL, we have a backslash, double quote, that is an escape character. This is a escape process. So we want to this completion can be handled when the remote process is complete. Therefore, our current process waits until the remote system returns back to us as it is completed, right? So until that time, we want to escape it. That's what it is. As I explained here, completion handling with the escape clause here used when a function perform asynchronous work and you want to execute some code later after the other work completes. So in this case, this should go, right, all the time from the beginning until here. But at some points, we know, although we don't complete this, some related work needs to be, hey, wait, a little bit wait, because I'm working on it. That's what it is. Somehow asynchronous work. Watch this. So if we come back here, then look at this. When I call this post request, this is a function, right? This function needs a URL and payload, and body of that function is for this result variable. I want to execute this dispatch queue dot main asynchronous. This is an asynchronous process. This when fetch all comes here, then this guy needs to work, right? But because we say asynchronous, when it comes to this function, it says escape process until completion. Therefore, why that happens? Because it needs to access some URL. This request has a URL, right? This request is a URL and some of the JSON attached to it. So it takes time. We do not know how long it would take at the remote site, because the remote site is completely independent to the system, like ours, right? Our smartphone app here, there is a local, and then it needs to request something from Google Cloud Server. So the completely independent system. Therefore, we need to wait. In order to complete, then we need to escape it. The whole thing is called completion handling, right? So internal here, while we are waiting, then if there is an error, then we say error completion. When it is complete, we say, oh, there is an error. If this is not the case, if this happens, then we say, hey, error. It completes, but with error. If data is data, which means data comes, then we say completions. Data comes, some response, but not actual data, then we say another messages. Either this is not, but there is no error, there is no empty data, then there's some response, right? So we call JSON serialization.json object with the data. So with that data in this format, key and value pair, we say complete. And then complete with that JSON response. Otherwise, that is another. If it is not JSON format, we can say, hey, that is an invalid JSON format. I have data is not empty, but data is not yet JSON. This is another type of errors. The proper accurate data is the data that we could do JSON serializations and therefore complete with this. When this request is complete, then when it come here, when it is complete, then we have a result. If a result has a dot success, then it goes here, right? If it is a failure, then some of the message is failure. If it is a success, then data is, we get the data from that response, and then in the data, there is a username and password keyword. Put them together in this map. Remember that there's a separate values, two separate values. The map function make those two in one record, right? So username, password in one record. That is map functions. Yeah, that is another messages. This is for the case of fetch all credential. For the case of a login, same thing here. Post request with the payload. We have to wait here. Asynchronous dispatch queue.main.async, and then if there is a result comes, then there is a case of a success response, and then we say the message is a login success. Otherwise, is login failed, right? Yeah. Where is that is invalid? So this is a login. If they are matched, that, and then remove. Login. I believe that is I'm trying to find out where we have that invalid username and password. I believe that should be password URL. Yeah, I think we'll find out. Right now, I'm not sure where it is. These messages. Okay. Let me rerun that. So initially, all fetch. If I don't know any, then it goes with this is a login function. Remember that in here both are empty. At the when both of these text fields are empty, then by default the button is called the fetch all user. If there is a fetch all user, then it goes to in this view model file. There is a fetch all credential function. So when I click this, then fetch all credential function, which is this case. Okay, so that with the no payload, I go to the same URL, and then I display the username and password. So when I click this, then there is a username and password, right? So that I can put here, for example, username test user. I would say Adam, for example, and password is password 123. When I do 1, 2, 3 and click login, then login successful. Okay, that's what. So this is a login function. It returns true, then we say login successful in green color. Originally, status message color is red, right? Status message color by default red. Therefore, remember that it says red, but only this is true, then that is that. Okay. So home view what it does is this is not yet shown here. This is very important to make your device. It could be a real device or your emulator. Same thing. By default, it doesn't allow you to go out to access any HTTP URLs. So to make it possible, you have to set on this info property list. If you click this very on top of your project, and then click this info, and then this is not set, I want you to do this. So anywhere there, if you bring your mouse there is a plus sign comes up. Then you click that plus sign and choose App Transport Security settings. Once this is chosen, then again within this that record, there is a up arrow and down arrow. Click that and choose submenu. That is allow arbitrary load. Once this is selected, then value for that should be yes. So by default, it is no. Because this is no, your app does not access the external web server, which is transport security. According to by transport security, access to another port of other URL is prohibited. Therefore, you need to say here yes. Okay. From no to yes. That is important. Okay, two-factor authentication goes a little later. Then let's do real implementation. Okay. Okay, from Xcode, open up new project. So we want to develop an app. And I would say that is called the login path. Let's say 8 cloud. Okay. And then language Swift, interface Swift UI. We don't need to worry about others. And next, I want to save it, class 25, and create. Okay. So, according to MVC, we need to first to do model. So what I want to do here, I want to create with the templates, Swift file, and then I can say user and create. In this user, I want to do struct user colon identifiable and then comma decodable rather than codable, decodable, and then ID. I want to put the password, and this is not email, and username. And remember that ID isn't needed because this is identifiable. So what this guy says, recordable, cannot find decodable, decodable, yeah. Rather than having ID, okay, ID, I don't want any additional record for that. If I don't have an ID, then it gives me the error. It says ID is needed. Therefore, I have here ID, and then I would say that is nothing but username. In this case, without having to create any additional ID, I can simply use username as an ID. And then in this case, I need to do variables rather than let. Okay. Okay. And then because I have a model here, I need to have a view model. So create another template, and then I'll just say this and view model. What I want to do here, I want to create new folder, empty file, a new folder. I would say model. So user, I want to put this in this model. Okay, so user in this model. This is a simply folder. And then this is a view model. If you have a more than one view model, then you can put another. Let's make that also here. Folder. Yeah, here I would say view model. And this view model is inside this view model. Okay. And we have a content. This one, this goes to content view. This is okay. Remember that we, instead of this, we use login view. If you do not want to this, but you want to make a separate login view, then you can do that. If you do not want to this, let's say I want to delete this, but rather I want to put here login view. Okay, this is a login view. In this case, you need to make a login view here. Create templates, and then you can say login view. Create. So you have a login view. This guy find out what that login view is. By the way, this login view you need to input the Swift UI, and then struct, and then login view should be in view, bodies view. Let's say this should be available. Therefore, when you come back here, login, yeah, that error goes away. But we need to put here more. And view model, then we need to add more. Remember that view model that already we looked at in the slide. So I want to make that copy and paste. Okay, remember that we have a login and then fetch all credentials, and this post request, that is another function here, post request. And we looked at here, that is a completion escape. Result is nothing but on JSON formats, string and array, and then also error if there are some errors comes, right? So if it is an error, then we can say failure. If there is a data, then we also need to see if there is a code -1, then there is an error. Otherwise, we have here JSON serialization, JSON objects, and then completion of that success. At the same time, here we have a fetch all credentials. We requested that function that we just looked at with no payload. And data returns, and we map username and password, and we list all fetch data. For individual, here we return with we make a payload username and password, and with that payload and URL, we send to that post request function that we looked at previously, and then asynchronous data, asynchronous process, because that is for that asynchronous processing, we handle the completion with the escape. Okay, so hold this function does not return. Function itself does not return, but it has some completion handlings, right? So when that completed, then the result is formed, right? So if we come here, the result is this in this JSON format. Okay, so this completion function with the JSON response, this is called the result back here. Okay, that is a result. Response. If the result is a success, then we see the response success, and then we the writer message, login successful, and then green lights. And then clear credential list of users once it is successfully logged in. Otherwise, failures here. There's a user model. In the login view, again, in this login view, this login view is using, remember that we use the environment objects. That object is already, that comes from this view model. And I want to say real variable called small view model. I want to make a vstack here. Vstack. Oh, this is a login view field. I would say here username. Okay. And then text is a view model. This is a username. This should be small view. This is variable. And then secure field, I would say password. And then text view model, password. View cannot find the view model in scope. Oh, this is small view. This is also small view. Not simply login. In this case, we remember that we said action if view model dot username is empty, and also not only that, and then view model dot this is not users, this is username, and then view model password is empty. Okay, then we run view model dot both are empty, then we need to access fetch all credential, else and we need to do view model not fetch all, but remember that we have a login, right? So dot login. We don't need this because this is already handled. So this comes here. Maybe I leave, let's say, action, button action, view model, else. This goes with that, and this goes with this, and therefore we need to have another curly brace here. Oh, all done. And then again here in this text, remember that if this condition, same condition, if this condition is true, like this, question mark, if it is condition is true, then we can say, oh, this guy says fetch all, otherwise the login, right? And then we make here some frame max width equal infinity, padding, background color blue, foreground color white, and the corner radius is 5, and after that I'm gonna make a dot padding. Okay, let's see if it works so far. Oh, somehow it works.
All right. Thread, what is this? Object view. View model may be missing an ancestor view. Okay, not sure, but if this view model is outside, let's see what happens. Oh, still the same. View model. Actually, we didn't change this, right? Right. And the user is the same as that one. And login view. View models. Login view. Swift core environment fatal error, no observable object of type view model found. View model. That's observable objects. And therefore here, environment objects, that is environment objects. That's a variable, view model, view model. Not sure. Clean. Let's try to do more.
First of all, login. I want to make say font, large title, and then padding, text field, text field style, round, and then padding, and then another here, round and padding, and button open. Say this is up to that.
and then text field to that. Okay. After that text, we need to make it the messages, right, from view model dot status messages. If there is a status messages, then we need to write it here, and foreground color. Remember that we set the color mode on the view model. There is a status color, status messages color. I want to use that status message color. If there is an error, view model. In the view model, there's a status messages, status message color, red, but it can be green when the login success. And then there is a this is messages, and depending upon, initially both are empty, then we want to display fetch all credentials, right? So we need to make it so if view model view model users, and if it is not empty, then we need to put their list, and view model dot users. We need to use that for each user. Then in the view stack, there's alignment. I'll just say leading from it, stick to the left. Inside text, and they say username, and then we can say user dot username. It's not text. Font calls headline. We make, what is this? No meaning leading. Not content. It should be alignment. text, no exact matches, text issues. I want to put this, everything is inside here. Then we need to put here escape within that. Function like this. This is text, is all text. And inside, this is a literally username. And this is a variable. So the backslash within the parenthesis, then this is a placeholder. So username comes here. Fetch all credential, it returns a number of users, right? We list all those users. So for each user, I want to make a username like this. And then I want to copy and make a password. And this should be password. I'll put here maybe sub headlines, and then foreground color. Let's say here, because this is a password, I want to make it gray. This is a strange error. Text field, text colon, $view model, username. Let's retype that. That is view model, username. Maybe missing is an ancestor of these views. Oh, I need to have a home view. So bring that home view. I'll make here. Home view. Okay, there is a state object. So probably view model is a view model. Login view. Yeah, that is missing. Navigation login. So when you come here, I think they should go away. Another run again. Again, I have here home view. Home view has state object. There's a view model. environment object view model and login. Home view. Let's see. Oh yeah. I think here it should be home view. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, it works. I want to push this all the way up. So how should I do? Back here. I think I need to do inside here. I want to make a spacer. Push it back up. Let's see if I can get the fetch all. Oh, now we need to go to info. I want to remember anywhere there is a not with this greater than sign, but any single ones here. Then I want to make a plus button and then choose app transport security settings. Okay, that is the settings, the sets, and within that upper and arrows, click that. This is not yet. So what I want to do is I want to make this button down arrow, and then let's see, plus, not plus, here inside that. This again. Let's see what I want to do here. Not this level. Hit enter first. Okay. Plus sign. Oh yeah. Here arrow arbitrary load. Click that. And then by default that is no. I want to make it yes. Okay. And then rerun. Fetch all. Oh, nice. So I have those. So when I here, for example, I want to make it small. Make it smaller. Login. Oh, successful. But if I have something else, login, then invalid username and password. Okay, so let me hold this, close that, close this. Okay, now I want to do two-factor authentications with the random number. The number or code, the numeric code, randomly generated. I want to give that number first, and then ask user enter that random number.
this two-factor authentication is not really, we send the two-factor authentication independently from this app. It should be like that, right? Through one channel, we work on this, and through another channel, like to email, then check with your email and see if there is a the two-factor code available, and then take that two-factor code and enter into your app to verify, right? Two different channels needs to be done. Usually when you go to banking system, then banking system that you do usually on your the web, right? On your web access, enter username and password, and then it asks you to enter the number that you receive into your cell phone number, right? So there is a web channel, and then there is another channel. There is an application channel, app, two different channels. But on our simple implementation here, we use both through app. Okay, yeah, you can extend this to real two-factor, but we simply test it. Okay, so we make one more view, code verification view. Remember that in two-factor, we can use previously on this access control, we activated the camera. So camera is to be used to take your face. Then your face may be compared with the face already stored on the banking systems. So from the face recognition, to check if the current face on your cell phone is the same as the face they stored. So face recognition may be used for another two-factor authentication. But in this case, because we already done that, so here, let's play with the random number generations, okay? Some of the code that we need to do here, on your login view, we made another, let's say we displayed, we generate the code, okay? So we show that on the background color, yellow, and then this is a size, so boldface. This is simply title, right? Title, one line, and below the code that we generate. Below there's a button continue. Then it goes to next. Here navigation to code view true. If navigation to code view is true, then I would say, yeah, here if navigation code is true, then we go to next view, which is code verification view. In this code verification view, we take this code, generate the code. Okay, it goes, this another view is open, but this view has the code already generated in the previous view. So you, as a user, for this two-factor authentication, you have to memorize it and then echo that number on the following view. If those two numbers are matched, then you are logged in. You passed through that two-factor authentication. all right, and goes to the next view. From there, you can do whatever that you do your business logics. That's basically what we need to do. Let's see if I can make some demo that I can show to you. Before we implement, I want you to get some, hold on. Okay, here, maybe I want to make this again, and then JYOON, JYOON, and then login. Then remember that this your 6-digit code is within that yellow background. We display randomly generated code 5011, 5013, and then there's a button continue. When I click this, and then it asks me to enter 511, 513. This view is nothing but this code verification view. Okay, and then there is a button verify. If it is verified, then it goes to the next ones. Let's see, I want to make a wrong code and verify. It says code is incorrect, try login again. So I want to put here number 3 and then verify. Then it goes to next. Welcome to final view. You can play more business logic goes here. From this view, you can go further. Okay, that's what we need to do. So code verification view is, remember this receives, right? This receives from the previous, and then we display enter 6-digit code, and then code we receive that as a entered code. Okay, this entered code is compared with the expected code that is received from the previous views. If they are matched, then we can call this. Is this code correct? We turn it to true. By default, is code correct? That is false, right? And then we need to show errors. Originally, there is no show error for which is false. We turn it to true. Otherwise, if they are not matched, okay, show error. If they are not matched, then we can say code is incorrect. Try it again, right? And then if they all set, is correct, code correct, like here is correct. That is, if code is matched, therefore is correct, is code correct. If it is the case, then there's another view, action view. So we can create an action view. Remember that you are finally done, and more business logic goes here. That type of message can be done. So remember that here, what did we have here? Okay, there is a login of 8. So I want to bring that. Okay.
So what should we do? We need to make a let's say yeah, in the login view, I believe we need to do easy show is code step, right? So login view here is a login view. Yeah, login view. Okay, so another here, if show code step, then we need to do further. Is code step should be above defined show code step. Here states variable private and variable, I believe that is a show code step. Make it false initially. And then we also have variable and then code generated, right? So we say generate code. Generate code is not, we need to make it simply that. Okay, make that right now. So that is easy show step. Remember that we, in this case, we make this tag and then spacing maybe 10, and then within that this tag we need to make it a title of that. So we can say your 6-digit code is, and the next one is we need to put maybe generate code, and the next one is a button, and then we can say continue. Continue. If it is continue, then we need to some indicator. Navigate to code view true, maybe. So navigate make it true. Same thing, navigate to code view. Navigate to code view. false. Navigate, and this should be private variable. And come back here, navigate code view, cannot find it. Navigate to code view, navigate to code view. Okay, that is done. And then we need to make a function, navigate to, I want to make here a function. Navigate 6-digit code. So what happens is here, we generate this code only if user login and password is matched, right? So we need to see view model is authenticated. Here in this view model, if they are matched, then is authentic. Then we need to put in the view model is authenticated. We need to make here boolean view model. Okay, here published variable is authenticated and initially false. Okay, and then we need to change that if it is a login, if it is, then login success, green. Before we remove it, I think we need to change here. Self is authenticated. That should be true, right? So if it is the true case, then come back here. And then what happens here, this is a long list so far. If you click this, okay, that covers all in that views tag. So everything in that, all the UI appeared on that view. And then on change, on change, anything, if there is anything changes, if user login is passed, therefore we can say on change of a successful login. So we have a view model that is logged in, is authenticated. If it is authenticated, then we can say no. If it is authenticated, then we can do something here. Okay, so what we need to do, internal local value, or it says a new value in, if new value, then we need to generate 6-digit code, and we assign that to generate code. Remember that we generate 6 code. Generate 6-digit code. Why it is not? This generate code. This, I thought this is recognized, right? Generate code. Let's move up. Generated code. Okay, let's put the generated code rather than generate code. Generated code. Okay, if it is generated, then we need to show this, right? If it is generated, then we say show code step. That is true. If show code is true, then we display that, and then there is a button to continue, right? Okay, there is a navigation. This is true. Okay. So if it is true, then we need to put here a navigation link, because we need to say where it should go, right? In the navigation link, we need to put the destination. Navigation link, destination view levels is active. Let's see this. Destination? Not really. Navigation link. That link itself, there's no title. Navigation, that we need to define. Code verification view, and that code verification view, do I have a code verification? Oh, we don't have that, right? So I want to make it available. So I want to make, and then here, okay, code generation view. It has a parameter. expected code. So we need to put here arguments. There should be here expected. We need to put again here code generation view, then it expected view, and this we need to put here generate code. Generated code, that is an argument to call that function, and that navigation links is active only when navigation code view navigate to code view. Perfectly fine here, right? If this becomes true, which means 6 code is generated and that is button is clicked to continue, only in that case we goes to this. We call this function. We go to that function with the generated code. When we come back here with that code generated, then we ask user to enter the code and then verify. If entered code and expected code, which is coming from the previous, are matched, then we call that true. Otherwise, the other error, right? Oh, we need to have another action view. Another action view is very simple. Okay, so there's nothing but simply we can make that here. Make another template, and then we need to make an action view. Meaning from this view, we really need to implement some of the action to take, right? Some business logics. So that is action view. Previously here, we need to ask action views. Action view is not yet ready. So come back here. Yeah, we need to make action view. I want to make this Swift UI and struct action view, which is a view. Okay, here we can say welcome to the final view, and then font headline or title. We can say here title, and then we can make another text. Put here more business logic goes here, and then font is caption. That's fine. And then finally heading. What happens here? Oh, we need to make a V stack here. V stack. I want to make everything inside here, and padding not here but here. Okay, so go to login view. Let's see what other that we need to do. Let's see. Failed. Okay, UI. Code verification view. This. Yeah, we don't have to worry about it. What it is yeah. Actually, it is not implemented, all right? Therefore, it is. Okay. Change that. This should be on. Oh, we need to change this. Okay, 871,758. 871,758. 758. Let's see, 871,758. Oh. 871. Go back again. 871,758. 871,758. And verify. All right. Like this, a little bit of massage it. I want to make this in somehow some decorations. Okay, so what I can do, login view, right here. I want to make this dot font, and then dot headline. Fine. And this code that I want to put, I want to make it this. Okay, so we have some of the yellow color. Okay, so redo. I want to put this first. Yeah, let's put anyway J here. That's smaller. Login 529,621. 529,621. Verify. Incorrect. 529,621. Welcome to Final Views. All right. This is two-factor authentication with the number that we generate. All right. I hope this helped you. So, all right. This will be another homework assignment. Okay. Thanks so much.